Good evening. Apologize about the little delay. I got locked out of my Facebook account just a little while ago. Haley's had issues for a while, but she's finally back in hers, good to go. And I got locked out just a little while ago, which means I'm also locked out of the churches, so I can't post anything on the churches. So anyway, got something strange earlier today, and that's apparently what did it. But I wouldn't have thought it could happen. I kind of was too casual because I have the two-factor authenticator. I thought that would protect you from just about anything because, they got to have that code. But apparently, whoever hacked it knew how to bypass the code. So it'll get remedied. It may take a few days or even up to a week. I know Haley's expecting some time. And so, anyway, we are broadcasting on YouTube. YouTube don't have those issues. Facebook's kind of a necessary evil at times, but anyway, YouTube don't have those issues. So if you want to watch the service tonight, you'll need to go to YouTube. Much better quality anyway. It's just not as easy to transmit text and stuff like that. But anyway, so if you want to watch the services or remind some of it, you can go on YouTube. Our lesson tonight, well, before we begin that, I feel like we've got a visitor with us in the back there. Her days are coming, though, when she won't be able to. School is upon us very shortly. Anything we need to make mention of before we begin? The Paris. Okay, Paris we have, and no one knows how long he's going to be there. So probably just how it goes. So definitely keep, and any update on Joe? Okay. That might have been, I guess, it may be what her insurance will pay for. Hopefully, whatever allotment it is, hopefully Joe can get his health better in the meantime too. The sad thing is we're so constrained to what insurance says is allotted, and then it's difficult to. So hopefully, whatever the insurance is allotted will be just the right amount of time that she needs. Okay. Yeah. You're near Paris. Go by and see. Anything else? Potluck is Sunday. Steve, did you hear that? Potluck Sunday. Okay. I'll put it on the board tonight, and then I'll send you a reminder. There you go. Okay. Yeah. So invite people to church Sunday. You tell them you got food you want. They'll take care of themselves. By the way, I once read about that. In the the Appalachian or Southern vernacular. Because sometimes I know my mom grew up. She would say lunch, dinner, and supper, and people would say different things. My understanding was dinner was always the biggest meal of the day. A lot of times back in the day, lunch would be the biggest meal of the day. So it was kind of, by the end of the day, you would take something a little lighter or whatever. So anyway, that's I want to mention Haley. Keep her in your prayers. She went to the doctor today, her podiatrist. Old buddy, hadn't seen him in 6 years. 37. And got some similar things with foot. She's got some plantar fasciitis that we're hoping that's the actual real problem. And so she's got a new arch support to get by, and got to wear no sandals for her for a while. She's got to wear pretty good solid shoes. Got stiff heel soles or stiff soles in them, and heart supports, and some medications for none. And if it's better, good news. That's the direction that you're going. If it's not, she's likely headed to the big surgery. So we'll know that in a month, 2 months. So let's keep her in prayers. She really doesn't want to do the surgery again, although it would make her balanced, as Sophie told her. That way her left foot would match your right foot. But she's okay with it not matching, and so it's not as bad as the one 6-7 years ago, but the knee surgery is good. Anything else? Okay. School will be starting back soon. When they're all the kiddos, colleges will be going up. I know the kids, as far as to do extracurricular stuff in junior high school, they've all started, and they'll keep doing that. So it is that time of year, and so this will be mindful of parents as well. Teachers especially. They they get stuck in the room with all these kids who've had all these summer experiences. Minnesota, they take a little more time. They'll get there. We got some great, wonderful teachers. I know Boonville and just master teachers. Faithless Israel. Jeremiah 3. You want to go and turn there? Hope you're enjoying the book of Jeremiah. Jeremiah is, as we talked about, one of the major prophets. And he goes through what we refer to him as the weeping prophet. I think a lot because of the things he writes about, how it deals with him so personally, and then also the book of Lamentations, which he also wrote or penned, and it's about weeping things. So he has labeled the weeping prophet. There's worse things, I guess you can call it. But anyway, so we talked about some things. He was the son of Hilkiah, and what was Jeremiah's tribe that he was born to? A little bit of trick. He doesn't actually say what we know. It had to be Levi. It doesn't actually say because what was his father? Priest. Likely the high priest of the day and age, the high priest that I guess his claim to fame is what did he find while they was cleaning the temple? What did he find? He found the law of Moses, the book of law. And he's like, well, look at here. And so he was likely the high priest. Now, it is possible that he wasn't that same Hilkiah because there are other Hilkiahs, but it fits time-wise so perfect. The criticism why it might not have been the one with the town that they're from. Said, well, that wasn't Jerusalem, but it was much like, the New Testament we talked about Bethany, how close it was. Jesus would often stay there, and then he'd walk to Jerusalem during these feast days. So it was that close. So this town, although different from Bethany, was really not far. This is Anathon. Don't let it confuse you because it says in the land of Benjamin. Yes, it was in the land of Benjamin, but Jerusalem was the border between Benjamin and Judah, those five. So anyway, it is very likely that this Hilkiah. As a result, the things that Jeremiah talks about, his prophecy begins. We went through that timeline last week. Shortly before the events of some of the events in the that we read about his dad trying to book law. So it's that same time. So this is when Jeremiah begins to prophesy. And so we'll continue some prophecy in this week. We'll talk about Baal, order, return to sender, and shame. And so we're going to see some things and some imagery that is consistent. In fact, there's a lot of sentiment that's in this chapter of Jeremiah that we're going to see in the book of Ezekiel before the destruction of Jerusalem, talking about how they had strayed away. They had committed adultery against God. They were to be His people. They were, in essence, in a covenant or marriage relationship with God, and they had strayed away. They had committed adultery by worshiping false idols. So, Father, thing. So, things that are vile, things that are polluted, we don't like. And, I know, obviously, we can always do better, and I have no problems with things that try to make our surroundings and environment better. Arkansas is known as a natural state. It's nice that it is preserved to a certain degree. Obviously, there's are more important things, but it's something that should be preserved. We should take care of our, what the landscape has and everything. And when things are polluted, it doesn't bother. I remember growing up in the 70s, you could go to just about any big city. And what was it like? First, now I want to frame this first. Arkansas, by those standards, really doesn't have any big city. Which is okay. I'm fine with that. I'm not a big fan of big city. But you go to a big city, what would you generally say? Four-letter word that became really big in the 70s, 60s. Yes. Let's see if y'all good at little bit. Small. Yeah, small. It was, any big city had small back in the day. What did it look like when you come to a big city? It kind of looked like it was hazy, cloudy. You could just see the air, and it wasn't pretty. And of course, you had a lot of industrial things that would come up, and some big cities were much worse than others. But the air, you look at some rivers. I know in the Nashville area, the Cumberland River, which through Nashville, it was massive. I mean, you definitely wouldn't want to got it. And so there has been a lot of things done in the last 34 years where we've cleaned up a lot of that. But when you see something that was once beautiful, whatever, and you see it trash or you feel like you don't understand why someone would do that. You go to a park somewhere and it's such a beautiful place, and you see all this trash. It's like, why would they do that? Why would anyone do that? Go by the roads now. You can see trash. You can just go trash. Well, we understand those things. Now, some it really bothers more than others, but it kind of bothers all. Jeremiah 3:1-5 says, "If a man divorces his wife, and she goes from him, and becomes another man's wife, will he return to her? Would not that land be greatly polluted? You have played the whore with many lovers. And would you return to me, declares the Lord? Lift up your eyes to the bare heights and see. Where have you been ravished? By the waysides, so you have sat awaiting lovers like an Arab in the wilderness. You have polluted the land with your vile whore. Therefore the showers have been withheld, and the spring rain has not come. If you have the forehead of a whore, you refuse to be ashamed." We won't talk about shame a lot at the end of this lesson. "Have you not just now called to me, my father? You are the friend of my youth. Will he be angry forever? Will he be indignant to the end? Behold, you have spoken, but you have done all the evil that you could." And so, he kind of uses an analogy talking about someone that had divorced his wife, and the wife goes to be another man's wife, and, would it make sense then that they return in that city? And especially if nothing had changed. And like I said, this is just a generic thing. But what we do see is some common verbiage through the law of Moses. And indeed, we don't know, just because the law of Moses had been lost in the temple, obviously people still knew what it said. But at some point they did find it, so this probably was after they had found the law. And so God compares Israel's, or Judah's in this case, status with that of a situation where adultery is being committed. And we see this in others. Ezekiel does this a lot. Other prophets do this a lot. And it talks about this. Deuteronomy 24:1-4 says, "When a man takes a wife and marries her, If then she finds no favor in his eyes because she found some indecency in her, and he writes her a certificate of divorce and puts it in her hand and sends her out of his house, and she departs out of his house. And if she goes and becomes another man's wife, and the later man hates her and writes her a certificate of divorce and puts it in her hand and sends her out of his house, or if the later man dies, who took her to be his wife, then the former husband who sent her away may not take her again to be his wife after she has been defiled, for that is an abomination before the Lord. And you shall not bring sin upon the land that is the Lord your God is giving you for an inheritance. Now, I want to see, we've got some similarities, but the analogy is not going to be consistent in Jeremiah's book. So, indeed, of the law of Moses, that if a woman, in this case, had done something indecent, something of a nature, and her husband puts her away, and she goes to another man. And by the way, she would have been permitted to go to another Jew or Israelite at this time. She would have went somewhere outside to a Gentile or another nation. And then she tries to come back. Well, there has been a corruption of moral values, and it was forbidden that they would be reconciled in that case. So God is bringing up an analogy between Israel and him and a marriage where one has been unfaithful. Now, what is going to be different about this, we will see God has mercy to the point he wants people back. And so we're going to see it doesn't quite hold up exactly with that. But we do see, even today, there is a connection and parallel between God and his people. And also now in the New Testament we see with Jesus and his church. So Ephesians 5:28 says, wives, submit to your husbands, own husbands, as to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the church, his body, and is himself its Savior. Now, as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit in everything to their husbands. Husbands, love your wives, as Christ loved the church, and gave himself up for her, that he might sanctify them. Set her apart for holy purpose, having cleansed her by washing the water with the word, baptism, we have our sins washed away, so that he might present the church to himself in splendor, without spot or wrinkle, or any such thing, that she might be holy and without blemish. Of course, he says the same with husbands. But his point wasn't about husbands and wives directly. It's that everyone knew. If you're a Christian, if you had lived in law of Moses, you knew how a relationship between a husband and wife should be. He goes and reiterates it. But his point is the way the church in Christ are. And so he says, therefore a man shall leave his father and mother, and hold fast to his wife, and two shall become one flesh, verse 31. Verse 32, this mystery is profound. And I'm saying it first Christ and the church. You can't separate a Christian from the church. You can't separate the church from Christ. And of course, he goes on to say, let each love his wife as himself, and let his wife see each husband. But we see this relationship between God's people has always been a covenantal relationship. In the Old Testament, it was the covenant they made in the law of Moses, and their pledge to obey the law of Moses and do as God said. The New Testament, we are married, we are the body of Christ. So we must be true. Anyway, return to sin. I don't know. I haven't seen anything in hell so long. Occasionally, I do see things. I don't know how often, but sometimes we see things in church and to another church congregation. And we apparently have a bad address. What does that letter want to do? Something like that. But, maybe, I've heard someone say, one way you get it. Not right, but I've heard people see things. You can tell something someone can tell something to you somewhere else, not put a stamp on it, but have your address or address on it, and it's likely you get sent back to you. But don't do that. That could be mail fraud. it's kind of amazing. You know, it's not no takeaway. You said something. Sometimes they'll fight. Now, usually they fight hard. Used to, I know my dad worked for the post office a while on my face, and back in the day, you didn't have hardly any information. And but you know, the postmaster, you don't know, oh, hey, that's so and so. They just got the address on it. Now, computerized and stuff, they don't really do with it as much. So just got wrong information. Didn't like it. But the point is, it will come back. In Jeremiah 3:6-11, the Lord said to me in the days of King Josiah, his dad was my priesthood, have you seen what she did? That faithless Israel. Now she went up on every high hill, under every green tree, and there played the whore, once again by worshiping idols. And I thought, after she had done all this, she would return it. She did not return. And her treacherous sister Judah saw. Now Ezekiel does this too. Considers Israel and Judah a sister. Considers divided kingdom, the northern kingdom and the southern. But anyway, Judah saw it. She saw that for all the adulteries of that faithless one, Israel, I had sent her away with a decree of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister did not fear, but she too went and played the whore. Now, by divorce, what did God do to the northern kingdom? Okay, and so literally what happened to the northern kingdom? So divorce, putting away. So how did the northern kingdom get put away? Where did they wind up? Okay, they conquered by foreign men. They were taken into captivity. The Assyrians took the northern kingdom, and it became no more. Now, kind of a hybridized version of it remained, given to some of the people, and then a mixture of these other people, and it didn't work well when they did the one own gods, and it kind of had a hybrid religion. Of course, it became New Testament. That's today. But they were put away. They no longer had that type of relationship. And so they had went into this state by worshiping idols and doing other things. But what did Judah do for this? So, the thought would be Judah would see this. Maybe you got two kids. Okay? One kid does something they shouldn't do. You punish them. And what we hope is not just that the one will correct themselves, but whatever other child you got, what is your hope for? The result, the displeasure, the other things, and they'll say, I don't want to be like that. But, kids at some point, they grow up, they do what they do. I mean, you can't control it. You can't. And so, sometimes what happens? You get one child does something, even though they're punished, and they're everybody knows how that was bad, another child will do the same thing. So, in essence, Judah, even though they saw the consequences, they didn't change their way. She saw that for all the adulteries of the faithful, Israel had sent away the wolf's creek, yet her treacherous sister did not fear, but she too went and played the whore. Because she took her whoredom lightly, she polluted the land. Committed adultery with stone and sugar, just various idols that she worshipped, Asherah, Baals. Yet for all this, her treacherous sister Judah did not return to me with her whole heart. So you can read, in fact, Josiah, there's a lot of good things that happen. Remember Hezekiah known as a good king. A lot of good things happen to Hezekiah, but God says it was her whole heart. But in previous, the Lord said to me, faithless Israel has shown herself more righteous than treacherous Judah. Wait a second. What happened to Israel? They were taken in captivity because how many good kings, by the way, did the northern kingdom Israel have? Didn't have any. Right, the northern kingdom. So, wait a second, but God is saying that treacherous Israel was more righteous than Judah. Why is that? think about this. One, they saw what happened. But two, apparently God says they didn't return the whole heart. Remember the book of Malachi talks about, can you rob God? What were they doing? They wouldn't give the tithe this year. And all that, the sacrifices they were making, supposed to be the best, without spot and blemish, what were they doing? They were giving ones they didn't know. They had this pretense, they were doing these sacrifices and all stuff, but it wasn't really their hearts. It wasn't really in accordance with what God wanted, so they pretended. Well, what did Jesus say about the religious people of this day? Kind of did all the same thing, but we call it. We like all the Pharisees this morning. Hypocrites. The biggest difference is Israel, they rebelled, they went away from God, but they never claimed anything otherwise. Judah tried to have it both ways. They worshipped these false idols and yet tried to claim that they were righteous. Go proclaim these words toward the north and say, Return faithless Israel, declares the Lord. I will not look on you in anger, for I am merciful, declares the Lord. I will not be angry forever. Only acknowledge your guilt, that you rebelled against the Lord your God, and scattered your fakers among the foreigners under every green tree, and that you have not obeyed my voice, declares the Lord. Return, O faithless children, declares the Lord. For I am your master. I will take you, one from a city and two from a family, and I will bring you to Zion. I will give you shepherds after my own heart, and will feed you with knowledge and understanding. And of course, in 1 John talks about, repentance is a change of heart, change of direction. But also it is a confession. We've got to confess our sins unto another. And God is always faithful and just to forgive us. When we have multiplied and increased in the land those days, declares the Lord, they shall no more say, The ark of the covenant of the Lord, it shall not come to mind or be remembered of this, it shall not be made again. At that time Jerusalem shall be called the throne of the Lord, and all nations shall gather to it, to the presence of the Lord in Jerusalem, and they shall no more stubbornly follow their own evil heart. In those days the house of Judah will join the house of Israel, and they shall come together from the land of the north to the land that I gave your fathers for heritage. Interesting things here. It says the ark of the covenant of the Lord will not come to mind or be remembered of us. So when is this Israel and Judah going to come together and have this awesome time? It won't really matter the ark of the covenant. What day and age? Verse 6, the church, yes. It is different times. And yet that's when all could be united in Christ. And so, in those days, these latter days, as Joel refers to them, in Acts 2, we see that that's what indeed they were. Now, to show some imagery here, and probably the book that has the greatest insight to things that went on in the Old Testament, as far as the observances of the sacrifices and other things. The book of Hebrews, in chapter 12, we talk about Jesus as the author and perfecter of our faith, the one we should look to, who died on the cross for joy. It says in verse 22, But you have come to Mount Zion, to Christian, to the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, to the innumerable angels in festal gathering, and to the assembly of the firstborn, who are enrolled in heaven. To God, the judge of all, and the spirits of the righteous made perfect, and to Jesus, the mediator of the new covenant, to the sprinkled blood that speaks a better word than the blood of Abel, see that you do not refuse him who is speaking. For if they did not escape when they refused him who warned them on earth, much less will we escape if we reject him who warns from heaven. At that time his voice shook the earth, and now he has promised, Yet once more I will shake not only earth, but also the heavens. This phrase, yet once more, indicates the removal of things that are shaken, that is, things that have been made, in order that the things that cannot be shaken may remain. Therefore, let us be grateful for receiving a kingdom that cannot be shaken. Thus, let us offer to God acceptable worship with reverence and awe, for our God is a consuming fire. But, the Hebrew writer, he really, hits home on these things. They were without excuse in the old law. They disobeyed, and look what happened. Here in this case, Israel was taken into captivity. Judah is about to be taken into captivity. One day there was coming, in fact, it's here in Hebrews. Boy, is that phrase just once again things shaken, but yet in the church be shaken. Why is it? Why is it? That's why. The way to keep us all over Jesus. The eternal kingdom. And so, when we come gather together to worship, make no mistake, we're away from the church, we're still Christians. We must present ourselves as such. We need to be here. We need to be always acceptable to God. We need to come before Him with reverence. And we're going to talk more about that. I'm going to stop, so whoever's got the devotion time, but tonight, or later, next week, we're going to talk about shame and things, and how that we live in an age where people are not ashamed. And that's not good. I dare say there are Christians now that may not be ashamed of things they should be ashamed. And we see here this is something that Judah needed to be ashamed of the direction they went. And far too many sometimes we think, well, this is just the way things are now or whatever, and we allow ourselves to go the way we have to. Any questions or comments? Appreciate you being here. We'll finish this next week. Jeremiah 4 actually is very similar to Jeremiah 4. It is God begging with His people to come back. Good evening. Well, I've been on my feet most of the day. I guess another 15 minutes or so. I've got the song and devotion as well. So please bear with me. Richard, would you care to read our opening prayer? Someone that would read the closing prayer. You want to mark your songbook at the time that you will do. That will be the song of invitation. Go ahead and mark it. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe it's 5:50. I can't even read my own writing. Maybe 5:50. Look at that. Yeah, 5:50. Okay. Well, this may take longer than 15 minutes. See if I can get through it.
First song will be number 867. 867. After the song, we'll have our first segment. To Canaan's land I'm on my way, where the soul never dies. My heart is mine, will burn today, where the soul never dies. So
Father, you have blessed us so many ways. Help us to not think of any word, these blessings. They are a gift to you. The material things you allow us to enjoy are so good and helpful. Sometimes we may let them overshadow the spiritual blessings. Spiritual blessings are good beyond any description. As you have allowed us, and promised us blessings untold. We thankful to you. Help us strive to serve you thankful. May the blessings be upon thee that we sing and lead us on. Learn a short message. We are so blessed to have this opportunity. We are grateful for it. Jesus, the material aspect is comprehensive. What marvelous things you have done for us. And we are never grateful for what we learn. Such be good. Out of it, we are like take the whole and do what we will. Check back to the side. And on we share the day. All is that. Thank you, your mercy and grace. And you will. Everybody here with us. All these strong believers. We ask it all in Jesus' name.
Let's sing number 578. 578. We will glorify the King of Kings. We will glorify the Lamb. We will glorify the Lord of Lords, who is the great I am. Lord Jehovah reigns in majesty. We will bow before His throne. We will worship Him in righteousness. We will worship Him alone. He is Lord of heaven, Lord of earth. He is Lord of all who live. He is Lord above the universe. All praise to Him we give. Hallelujah to the King of Kings. Hallelujah to the Lamb. Hallelujah to the Lord of Lords, who is the great I am. All right, we're going to do something just a little bit different. We're going to sing a couple more songs, and then I will have a short devotional. When I say short, it'll be probably the normal length, but since I'm here, I need to practice. We're going to sing a couple more. So let's sing number 406. 406. I am eager now Jesus, keep me I'll be satisfied and I walk in the thee. Is my need. They want me close to thee. Let it be, dear Lord, let it be. When my people are Lord, time for me will be no more. God, He can be safely on to thy kingdom shore, to thy shore. God, the Son wants to walk with me. Great Jesus is my King. Daily walking close to thee. Let it be, dear Lord, let it be. All right, well, anywhere with Jesus, I can say we go. Anywhere He is, well, we go. Anywhere without Him,
Here I cannot know. Anywhere with Jesus I can safely go. Anywhere with Jesus I am not alone. Other friends may fail me, Jesus still I know. Lord is handing me over the way. Anywhere with Jesus is the house of grace. Anywhere, here I cannot know. Anywhere with Jesus I can safely go. Anywhere with Jesus I can go to sleep. With the darkest shadow round about me free. Only I shall wake him nevermore to know. Anywhere with Jesus will be home. Be home. Anywhere, here I cannot know. Anywhere with Jesus I can safely go.
That's a little bit low. All right. Just a moment, I'm going to read Corinthians chapter 3, verses 2. The thoughts for the night devotional comes from an article that I read. My brother Mark Warren in the South Korean Food Certified. So, anyway, I thought it was a good article, short article. First or Second Corinthians 3, you yourselves are our letter of recommendation. Our letters of recommendation to yourselves. I do need to find this. Now, bear with me just a second. You yourselves are our letter of recommendation, written on our hearts to be known and read by all. And you show that you are a letter from Christ, delivered by us, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not on tablets of stone, but on tablets of human heart. The thought and the ideas behind this article that I read is that our Christianity should be shown to be visible and readily apparent to those around. I'm going to share a story. It's not to boast or to brag, but I want to use this illustration because it's not how it is. Me and Jennifer, for a long time, we went to the same club. Still do occasionally, but not as much as we used to. And we kind of got to know a few of the associates there. And just going and picking things up, bringing it back to the restaurant, and whatnot. Still today, we have been there probably together. We probably had just in front of these folks. But anytime they see us, these are just workers that work in sense. They go out of their way. Oh my goodness, I haven't seen you in so long. And they just talk and they go on. The other day, the lady who was visiting with said, "You guys are just the nicest people me and Jennifer kind of like after we left. She talked about our entire family that when we left. I was like, did we really show that? It's kind of difficult to understand, but Jennifer's like, we just act like we always do. I mean, we're the same people we're at Sam's or wherever we're at, but maybe trying to share the gospel. But perfect, fair, different. And so the foundational idea of Christianity is that it must be visible, it must be shown to those around us. People should know that we belong to Christ. Christianity is not merely some facts to believe, though there are some facts that absolutely must be believed, such as the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus. Christianity is not merely some ideas to understand, though there are some ideas that must be understood, such as all have sinned and stand in need of a Savior. So Christianity is a lifestyle. It's a life that must be clearly demonstrated. The facts that are believed and the ideas that are understood must lead to transformation or to a change. Our lives must be lived in such a way that we make it clear that we know Jesus. Acts chapter 4 and verse 13. Now when they saw the boldness of Peter and John and perceived that they were uneducated, common men, they were astonished, and they recognized that they had been with Jesus. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 14. For people who speak thus make it clear that they are seeking a homeland. So my question is tonight, how do we conduct ourselves? How do we live our lives outside of the church building? Day-to-day life as we have interactions with people, whether it's at Walmart or Sam's or wherever it may be. Do they see something different about you? The only thing different I can really tell as far as me and Jennifer are concerned when we go out in the public is we try to be nice. We try to be friendly and cordial to anyone that we may come into contact with. And it's just a natural thing for us. I don't think we have to really try to do that. It's just something that we're about. And a lot of times there are those who have to work at that part of their lives, being friendly and nice and cordial. But it's not just about that. We should talk in such a way, conduct ourselves in such a way that it's clear to those around us that we are different, that we belong to Jesus, that we're Christians. Very important. So we should live in that way each and every day, or at least strive to. We're not perfect. And sometimes we have good days, and sometimes we have bad days. That we shouldn't let that affect how we are and how we act around others. Anyway, that's the devotional. As always, we offer an invitation. We invite anyone to come who may have a need that needs to be prayed about or talked about, whatever the case may be. But if there's something that's just not right and you want to make it known to the church, this is the time and this is the opportunity to do that. So we invite you to come and we stand.